Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, boys?
Danny.
Week 13.
Getting into Sunday football for week 13. Running Arounds podcast here.
Let's
You guys
go.
ready to dive in?
Hell yeah.
Sunday
Starting off
fun day. Let's do it.
Yep.
1 o'clock games. This whole week's full of tough matchups.
It
And this
really is.
first one, AFC South matchup, you got the Indianapolis Colts 6-5 going in the Tennessee Titans 4-7. Indy's a 1-point favorite here in Tennessee. Tough matchup here. Both teams technically on their second string quarterback. They got a good run game going. Their defenses are playing pretty well. How do you guys think this one plays out? Over unders at 42.5. You think that's a high scoring game like this, or keep it a little bit low scoring with the tough defenses?
It's a tough read because, you look on one hand and you don't feel like Tennessee is going to score a lot. You look at the Colts, they're playing winning football. Their defense is giving up a lot to just about everybody all season long. But they're causing turnovers at the same time. It's a murky situation when I look at this game. Tennessee played much better at home. Not much of a surprise there. I think me and Eddie were talking yesterday, 4-1 at home. I'm gonna side with the home team. I really don't like either side on this game, but I'm gonna side with the home team just because Henry looked good last week. I know the Colts are giving it up. Divisional game. I'll take the home team. I don't love it. I think there will. I think both teams do get into the 20s, so I think you know at a glance, I can see what you're talking about, Brady, with this possibly not getting there. But I think both teams are going to give up some points. So I lean over and I lean Tennessee. Give me the Titans there. How
I
about you?
I feel you. I mean, I'm not against it. I
I
don't
know it's
know.
a mediocre team.
I don't know how much I'm for it. I mean, we got Indianapolis 36-22 on the series. They're leading Tennessee in the series. I think they're the better team. They're scoring about the same per game almost. Indy's scoring a little bit more, 24-5 to 16-8. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Colts here, giving up the points. I'm gonna take the under. I'm just gonna go polar opposite of Charlie right now. Whatever Charlie does, it's opposite Charlie Day. So I'm going opposite here today, folks. I did write it down prior to the engagement, so it couldn't have been about my last
You go,
quote. But I just
you go
really,
opposite of me.
yeah, but it sounded like a good story coming in, so I figured why not. But I'm taking the Colts here. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, this one's a tough read. So I had to kind of go back to the Titans' last divisional matchup, and that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they got stomped pretty bad, 34-14. I believe that one was in Jacksonville, so home field advantage does play for this division pretty well, actually, because I'm sure we'll talk on it later. But the Colts have never beaten Jacksonville in Jacksonville. They're like 0-16 or something like that, which is
Wow.
ridiculous. But so this division home field advantage means a lot. But the Colts, I think, play a similar kind of football to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even though Jonathan Taylor is injured and doubtful, Zach Moss is playing really good football. He's running hard. He wants to continue his career in the NFL. So he's not ready to give that up yet and wants to keep running. So he's running hard, knows football. So they're still going to have a run game going. And then they got decent receivers, and they got Michael Pittman's a good wide receiver out there where they can sling the ball and get a lot of passing yards against this team, especially after they traded away the safety to the Colts or to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to ride the Colts here as well, just because I think the Titans are kind of more cruising, and I think the Colts are trying to prove themselves, and potentially come from behind to take this from Jacksonville.
Very
No
good
doubt.
points. I can't argue a lot with that. Pittman's had a phenomenal season too. Low, he probably was drafted a lot lower than he has been the previous couple of years, just given the quarterback situation coming in with Gardner Minshew and A Rod.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, but but
AR-15.
he yeah AR but he's produced nicely. He tore the Bucks up. He did anything he wanted to do last week. He looked like Evans Jr. out there catching everything. So
I just, these two teams match up well together. I mean,
Yep.
obviously, I stated how the Colts have, nudged the Tennessee Titans in the series all time. But, this is going to be a low-scoring game. These teams match up well together. The Titans have the defense to slow down whatever offense the Indianapolis Colts have to give. To be honest, I really would have liked seeing Jonathan Taylor playing this, even though when you go back to the last matchup in the beginning of the season, he had like 6 touches for like 19 yards and no touchdowns in that game. So the Tennessee Titans defense showed up and showed out when it came to what the Indianapolis Colts can do best. I think that if the Colts are going to win this game, it's going to be in the air. I think the Tennessee Titans have that type of dirty, nasty up front to get down and dirty with the Indianapolis Colts in the trenches. I think that this game will definitely have to be won in the air, but I still think it's going to be a tight one, maybe even a squeaker.
All right.
Yeah,
Anything else, Dad?
Minshew magic late in the game. He did it at his short career at Jacksonville, and he's done it with the Colts. So if it's a tight game and it's a one possession type of situation, I probably Colts more in this game because I think they can.
You got to play the Colts different. You got to play the Colts different when you're going up against Jonathan Taylor. And absolutely zero disrespect to Zach Moss. He's playing well for them this year. It's not even what I mean. But when you have a two-headed running monster such as Moss and Taylor, the dynamic of the game changes. I still think the Colts edge this one out in a low-scoring slugfest. To be honest, I just think it's one of these.
Fair. Yeah, I'd probably roll with the under as well. I feel like it's potential that like one team can score 20 and one team scores nothing, or it's going to be like a 14-10 or 14-13 game.
Right. Just that's what it's fact of the matter. That's what the last one was, wasn't it? What was the last one?
I don't know. But it'll be interesting. Definitely dogfight there in AFC South. Still, everybody still has a chance there. So
16-23, the Indianapolis Colts, October 8th.
Gotcha.
This year.
All right, next game, which probably won't be aired on your local television stations, but you got the Los Angeles Chargers going into the New England Patriots. Los Angeles Chargers are 4-7. New England Patriots are 2-9. The Los Angeles Chargers are a 5.5-point favorite here. And it seems like this is going to be a battle for which head coach kind of gets to keep their job going into next week, because both of them are kind of on the hot seat by their, established fan bases. How do you think this plays out? You think Chargers offense, sticks it to them, or the defense falls apart to the Patriots run game? What do you think here?
I'm a season too short on Austin Eckler. That's what I am in fantasy. So I'm one. I missed the mark.
Oh, you talk about having this game aired locally. I don't think the Patriots fans want this thing to be aired locally. Personally, it's tough, man. It's two sitting ducks. It feels like in the coaching spectrum there. Belichick, all kinds of chatter about him, either wanting to leave or being forced to leave, and then of course Staley on the other side. Feels like this is like second season in a row where he's been on the hot seat, but hadn't gotten kicked off. I can guarantee this, or I feel like I can guarantee this. The Chargers lose this one. That seat just burn his ass up. I'll take the Chargers here.
Ejectocito, cuz.
Hell yeah.
You're getting bounced, Mr. Staley. Herbert and the Bolts put up enough points to where the Patriots can't catch them. The Bolts give up points, though. The Chargers give up points. So I think that the Pats are going to be able to score some points in this game. As atrocious as the quarterback play and just overall play on both sides of the ball has been for the Patriots, I think they are able to score some points. I kind of like the over in this one. But give me the Chargers. I think the 6 points is just about right. I'd probably lean towards them covering, but 6 points sounds about right. So I'd probably drop that with the Bolts. How about you, Ed?
Yeah. I'm taking. I'm going to take the Chargers here with the giving up the 6 points on the under here. I think that The defense will be able to play for New England for about 3 quarters, and then this Chargers offense will do what it does. And I know that in terms of points, I know the Chargers defense is a food bank, and you don't have to give them much to get some food. But I still this New England Patriots offense is just, I don't know. It makes the Giants look good. So I just can't. I just, as bad as the Chargers defense has been this season, I think for 4 quarters against the Patriots, they could show up here. I think so. I'm taking the Chargers with the points and the under. How about you, Brett?
Yeah, I really, really want to take the Patriots. It's not because I think the Patriots are good. I just want to see Brandon Staley out of the Chargers, out of LA. I think Herbert deserves it. I think everybody else on that team deserves it. You need, I think the reporters deserve it to not get yelled at anymore. But I do think the Chargers are just a little bit too much, a little bit too talented. They got big guys, wide receivers. They can spread the ball. So I think, and they do have a pretty good pass rush. So I think if the Chargers can get up by 2 touchdowns early, put the pressure on, force the Patriots to pass it, then it becomes a bad matchup for the New England Patriots. So I like the Chargers, and I probably like them on the over, just because I think that's probably the likely scenario in my mind predicting this football game, is that Chargers go up quick and early, and then Patriots try to play catch up, and it just doesn't quite work out.
Yeah, it's a great take.
Yeah. My question for you guys, though, is given next year, which team would you rather be the head coach of? Do you want the strong fan base of the New England Patriots, or do you want the high risk, high reward of the Los Angeles Chargers?
That's a good question. Go ahead and take that one first, Eddie. I got to put some thought in that one.
I take the quarterback here. I go with the Chargers. The Chargers seem to be a more ready team, and the Patriots just seem like jambalaya. And it's not that there's anything wrong with jambalaya, because that's good as hell. But the thing is it's not good when it's on a team and there's no one to turn to, and you're not getting any production, and the quarterback's not hitting, and things are just not hitting. And, it's all fine and dandy when you're winning games. But when you're not winning games, it doesn't matter who you are. You're not immune to losing. It's just you lose too much, you're out.
Fair enough.
But I will say that I think that if I had to choose a team by next season who is not going to have a job, and I think it's going to be the Chargers.
What about you, Char? You figure a response?
I mean, I think that was well said. Thinking about Eddie's analogy with jambalaya, I wouldn't want to eat it frozen or cold, and that's what I feel like the Patriots situation is. And plus, it's a bunch of hand-picked people from the old regime. It's a deep house cleaning that needs to take place in New England.
It is.
But
yeah.
On the other side of the fence, man, the Bolts got something about them to where they just underachieve, and it's been like that before Staley. It's not like he just took it over and maybe took it to a different level, but that's been their MO for as far back as I can remember. So you're right, Herbert. You go quarterback.
All right. So both of you guys, touched on Herbert. I was gonna come back to Eddie, but since you agree with him saying that you'd go with Herbert, barring that Patriots probably have the 2, maybe 3 pick. Is there a quarterback in the draft that you'd go, okay, I'll take the Patriots. I'll take the Patriots now with a new young quarterback, rookie contract, because you're going to basically get your pick, because more than likely Caleb Williams goes first. I know you're not the Caleb Williams fan over there, Charlie. So then you get the quarterback that you would actually want, similar to a CJ Stroud situation going to the Texans.
I don't think this draft class is. I don't at the top. Don't like any of them. If I could get maybe 1 or 2 of these guys in the 2nd or 3rd round, then maybe I buy that scenario. But I've watched a lot of Drake May, who I was a little bit higher on coming into the season. Not so enamored with him at this point in the season, and definitely not sold on Caleb Williams. You guys know my opinions on that. And then beyond that, you're talking about Penix, you're talking about, McCarthy from Michigan. There's some talent there, but I don't think it's a first round. You're my franchise guy in this
Okay.
draft.
All right. Not even like what is it? Is it Bo Nix, right? The guy.
Not a fan of Bo Nix. I've
balling
watched
out.
him all the way back to when he was in Auburn, and he's a playmaker. There's some playmakers in this draft, but I don't see starting franchise guy
Okay.
that I would really want to build my situation around at this point. This is my personal opinion.
All right, fair enough. So you like the big arm of Herbert that's proven and can play in the NFL level.
I'm a little worried about Herbert because, for the first couple of seasons, he can't, there was kind of like this talk around him that like football is just something that he likes to do. And maybe, because he's a super smart dude, super smart kid, and could do well in other areas of life, similar to maybe an Andrew Luck type of situation. So there are some things that kind of worry me about him. And then these injuries the past 2 years, taking a beating too. And it seems to maybe affect his game a little bit this season because he does have Kellen Moore as the coordinator, which is a step up. Keenan Allen's having a fantastic season, but they always got those injuries too. So that's why I hesitated on answering the question in the first place about the Chargers, because although on paper it looks better, they're not always around. Those guys just aren't always around.
True. Eddie, you feel any quarterback in the draft that would change your mind, or you feel the same as Charlie?
I just think that the Chargers are just a more complete team, and
Okay.
like I agree with Charlie with, there's complete. I feel like there's going to be a lot to rebuild for New England. There's a lot that needs to get done over there. There's a lot of change that needs to happen. And I just feel like the change is minimal with the Chargers. I feel like, and I felt this way for a couple of seasons now, they're literally just a draft away. Like they're a draft away from getting a crop of talent on both sides of the ball that are literally just going to propel them into the direction that they need. And, we just haven't seen it, but maybe it's all there already, and it's the coaching staff that's not getting the talent out. So I just think that the Chargers are so much further along. I would much rather want to try to take this year's draft and apply it to what is already there, as opposed to the Chargers. I feel the Patriots is a rebuild.
Love the responses, guys. I'm same boat. 100% agree with you guys. I'd go Chargers as well. Everything you guys said was perfect.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to want to go Patriots. Is. I mean, I love the fans, though, and that passion. I'm a Giant fan, and we have that passion and that love. But a lot of fans do. I mean, it's not just...
the only thing that might swing my vote is if it went to more of a MLB-style salary cap, where the more money you bring in, the more money you get to spend. Ooh. And then I'd be like, give me the Patriots.
Yeah, then that's different. Wow. That's different. Yeah, that's different. But,
you got to think in today's age. You got to think in today's age too. Like, let's just say hypothetically, I become the coach of the Patriots, and I get my top choice at quarterback, and I really believe in him, and maybe he works out. I'm not right all the time, and he's a stud quarterback. Do I even make it 3 years though? You know what I mean? Like,
because the team you're handed.
Today's day, because their roster really is on par with the Panthers roster to me right now, which is just bottom of the barrel. There's not a lot of talent there.
Fair. All right, though, let's move on. Our next 1:00 game. Fun, interesting matchup. Could potentially be good football. Detroit Lions 8-3, going into the New Orleans Saints 5-6. Detroit is a 4-point favorite here in New Orleans. Tough matchup. I believe both teams lost last week, if I remember correctly. Hard-fought battles, just fell a little short. But over-under here is 46.5, because Detroit can put up a lot of numbers. Do you think this New Orleans tough New Orleans Saints defense can slow them down and keep up the pace, or is the Detroit Lions just a little bit too much?
Well, 96% of the public so far think Detroit's going to win the game. Usually the masses are right, though. But I get scared when I see those type of numbers, because I know how Vegas is. The Saints are banged up at wide receiver, though. They lost Lave and Shaheed last week. He didn't practice today. Today being Wednesday, we're doing the show. Alave was on a limited basis, so he might go. Both those guys might go, but they already lost Michael Thomas as well. So the receiving core is just depleted. Not that Derek Carr is in the mood to throw touchdown passes. Just saying. Um, this is a tough one for me. I've been on the Saints bandwagon the whole season. I still feel like to me, they're just an older version of the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions are definitely better coached, I feel like, but like schematically, talent wise, like golf the car type of situation. Like I feel like they're very similar. Good running backs on both sides and stuff like that. I think the dome plays a factor here. I think the Saints pull out a miraculous dub here. The point spread 4 points says that this is going to be a one-score close game. If you look at the records and look at the performances, really inconsistent for the Saints here lately, you would think Detroit would be a little bit heavier of a favor. At least I would. I think the Saints steal this, and
Okay.
I'm gonna go Saints.
No
How about
doubt.
you?
Yeah, I don't know. This Detroit team, they're really high powered on days and not high powered on others. There's some days where you're like, that's a contender, and then you know and then you're like, no, they're not. Look at that. What was that? What are we doing with that? What's that? But, I don't think home field advantage matters here because why? Because the Lions play in a dome and they know what it's like to be in a loud environment. Plus, Detroit is 4-1 away. I think that I'm going to take the Detroit Lions here. I'm going to take them giving up the points. I'm going to take the over. I'm a little scared that like potentially New Orleans could squeak this one out because, they're tied for first right now in their division with Atlanta. And they just lost to Atlanta. They lost to Minnesota. If there's any fight in this team, you'd argue that this is the scenario that's going to make them stand up. But I just think that they stand up for 3 quarters, and the Detroit Lions are just a little bit too much for them. A little bit younger and quicker in the eyes of Charlie.
Fair
Jamal
enough.
Williams, revenge game.
Yes, sir.
It's true. I like Detroit Lions as well. I think they have too many weapons to slow down for a team that's not scoring enough points to me. New Orleans Saints, they're just falling short. They're not, again, they're barely scratching 20 points a game, a little over 20 points a game here. And you need more than that to keep up and beat a Detroit Lions team unless Detroit falls apart. I mean, even their bad games, they're still putting up in the close to 30 outside the Baltimore game. But this is a tough defense like Baltimore, but maybe not. I don't think it's as tough that they can slow them down to just 6 points and hold them back. So I like the Detroit Lions. I love the running back combination. I love the wide receivers. They're talented. They always find the gaps. I think that's going to be the more hard part. Is I think the Saints like to play a little bit more man, and that'll be an interesting matchup with Amon-Ra St. Brown getting open and them trying to find either ways to get him open or finding the other receivers that aren't being smothered by Lattimore.
Well,
Lattimore
Lattimore's
and company,
going to
I
be out.
guess. Oh, Lattimore is out, but
Yeah.
okay. But they still do a good job of smothering and doubling up. So I think he might be a low factor. He'd be a risk, I think, fantasy wise. I think he's going to be like he's either going to crush it or he's going to be held to like just one or two catches.
Yeah, Jared Goff is. I almost started to buy into him after last season and then what he was doing at the first of this season. Actually, watching him on the first game against KC, I was like, all right, maybe I was wrong. But here lately, he's kind of playing like the Jared Goff that I remember and that I kind of view him as. Detroit's going to need better play from him. He's got a great ground game, like you touched on, and he's just got to play solid football.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore just got put on IR Saturday.
Ooh, okay. So I missed that report.
And Michael Thomas.
Honey Badger got 2 interceptions last game, though. He made an
Really?
appearance. Yeah.
True.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Charlie liking the underdog again. Anything else here?
Underdog Charlie.
Next game, another fun matchup. Atlanta Falcons, they just beat the Saints, going into the New York Jets. Falcons are 5-6, tied for lead of the division. They got the tiebreaker, so technically they're in first place. New York Jets are 4-7. Atlanta's a 3-point favorite here in the New York Jets. This is a tough matchup because I'm not quite sure that Atlanta has all the pieces to be outscoring versus this defense. But then again, you just don't know what that Jets offense is going to give you. Either it's going to be really good and surprise you, or it's going to be held down to nothing, and you're like, what's going on?
It's dead last right now, their offense.
What do you guys think?
Is it going to surprise you?
Oh, yeah, surprisingly how bad it is.
Hey, let's just say, maybe they wake up and throw a couple touchdown passes to Garrett Wilson.
No,
please,
Wilson,
my fantasy team, please.
Yeah, me too.
I'm rich and I'm going to win the lottery.
Yeah, Garrett's still a stud. Yeah, I think the Jets defense can maybe put some points on the board this game.
They're going to need to. What the fuck?
Desmond Ridder. He's having a tough year. I'm going to take the Jets on the upset. I mean, it's weird how it's shaken out, but I like the Jets in this game. I like it like 20-17. It's tough with Atlanta, man. I feel like the Saints gave them that game last week, and there are parts that I really like about Atlanta, and their defense has been pretty solid all year. But there's parts that I don't like about that offense, and I feel like I see it every week that I watch them, and it feels like it should be better. It should be more solid, and the quarterback play has not doesn't feel like it's matured from the end of last season where he got a couple of starts to where we're at this point in the year as well. So give me the Jets. I don't know how that they're going to win, but I'm taking them to win. Give me those 2.5 points. Plus Atlanta, I swear to you, every single game it feels like it's a one score type of affair. So they're going to let you be close. That much I can almost guarantee with Atlanta. How about you, Ed?
I don't know. I mean, this is going to be definitely a low-scoring game. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take Atlanta, and I'm going to take the under here.
I know, I do too.
I mean, if I had to, if I had money and it was just burning a fucking hole in my pocket, and I had to bet, that's what I would bet. I don't like it though because of what Charlie's saying. This defense could really show up and show out at home and feed off that New York crowd, yelling and screaming, being rowdy, stomping their feet, hooting and hollering.
They're hitters, man. They're hitters.
And I mean, I just, what Atlanta's gonna have to do is they're gonna have to pound the rock. They're gonna have to be able to run that ball. And I'm kind of worried that if some way, somehow there was a way for Zach Wilson to get up on Atlanta, then I don't know what Atlanta's going to be able to do against this defense. If you're forcing Ritter to throw against this savage secondary that just wants to just pluck it and play snatchies, everything that's up in the air is theirs. So I don't know, but I'm gonna take Atlanta here. They're the better team with the better ranked defense by one shaving, and clearly a better ranked offense because not even the New York Jets are ranked higher than the Giants offense. So I had to let that be known with the Super Bowl aspirations that the New York Jets had for their incredible season that they were about to have. And, hopefully you get your Aaron Rodgers back to win the rest of the games for you and maybe make a nice little push there for yourself there in the team. Yeah. But we're taking Atlanta there, Brady, with the points on the under. What do you got there, Brady?
Yeah, this is tough.
It is.
Because if the Jets, like you said, like you wanted to point out in my little introduction how bad the Jets offense is, if they had a smidge
Terrible.
of just a little bit more to be hopeful for on
Terrible.
offense, I'd be hands down Jets. So that's where it's me trying to think, can that offense, and I hate to say it, Nathaniel Hackett hack something up and come up with some sort of offensive scheme that puts some numbers together. Um, but I think the safe route is to go the Falcons. I don't want to. I don't think this Falcons
I s-
defense or this Falcons team is a strong football team. I think they're just kind of edging by the teams that are just slightly worse than them. And right now the Jets are just slightly worse than them. So I think the Jets edge this, or I think the Falcons edge this one out probably only by 1 point. I think I might even take the risk of betting that Jets cover inside the points.
I wouldn't. To be quite frank, I smell upset. I don't see why. They can't, just because of how good that defense is. Atlanta not able to score, and the Jets defense does. And now they could just put the ball in Bryce's hands and Brees's hands, let them run, and let that offense run, let that offensive line run block. And Zach doesn't have to do too much. If you
They
can
just got to
keep it
put
like
up
that,
13 points. I feel like they can win the
They
game.
they
If
they
you can just
score
get
13 points a
13,
game. They score 13 points a game, but Atlanta scores 19. So it's like, where are we at here? I don't know.
it's funny because Atlanta's the 4 seed right now in the NFC, and the Jets are the
Bonkers.
second worst team in the AFC, and there's one
Bonkers.
game separating them. You're talking about the Jets with
Bonkers.
4 wins, Atlanta with 5 wins.
Listen. Stop hating on my NFC South. All right, stop hating on us.
I like it
Hey,
because everybody is in the party the whole season. Like you can be really bad and there's still a window. I think Carolina was the first team officially cut out from making the playoffs after last week,
who was it?
but just barely.
Carolina, because
Just
their
barely.
one win.
Yeah, just
Carolina.
barely. They just would have had 2 wins, they'd
Jeez
still be alive for the division.
Jeez Louise. All them years they had Luke Kuechly in them, and jeez. Out of that, and Davis at linebacker. I felt like Davis was going to play forever at middle linebacker.
Feels like he did, yeah.
That dude was a savage forever, man. Animal.
All right, let's get to some juicier matchups.
All right.
Juice me,
Next
baby.
one. This one's a fun one and interesting. A lot more interesting, I think, will be than their records show. You have the Arizona Cardinals 2-10 going into the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 7-4. Pittsburgh's a 5.5-point favorite here, which I think is pretty big for a team that kind of has no offense at the moment, similar to the Jets. You just hating on the Jets. And then the Cardinals are kind of on their way up now that they get their healthy quarterback back and they get to actually test what they can do. And their defense is actually showing some life. Do you think it continues that way? You think Cardinals get the technical upset here, or does that Pittsburgh Steelers defense just way too much for another team that's just technically like slightly below them?
Yeah, Charlie, you underdogging it?
I really want to be. Pittsburgh 5-0 when they score 20 points. All they got to do is get to 20 points. Pittsburgh is undefeated. Obviously, only being 5-0, they haven't gotten there that many times this year. Arizona has struggled against the AFC North. They're 0-3. They've lost to every other AFC North opponent. I like Arizona with the points. I think that there's a possibility that they upset Pittsburgh, especially if they can find a little magic and go up early. Because as Brady highlighted, Pittsburgh's offense, even though they let go of Matt Canada, didn't look much better last week too. They eked out the victory against a Burrow-less, Cincinnati Bengals team and didn't, surprise, score 20 points. So Arizona has some weapons. Kyler's slippery. He's had a couple of kind of tough games here the past 2 weeks after his first week where he looked good and led him to victory over the Atlanta Falcons. So I like Arizona with the points. I think Pittsburgh's going to get the win here. Ultimately, I don't love it, but yeah, this is a slate of games that's tricky to predict. But I think it makes for fun football when
No
we're
doubt.
watching it on Sunday. I'll go Steelers money line, for pick's sake, but I do think Arizona's a live dog, and I definitely like them with the points. How about you, Ed?
No doubt. I'm taking Steelers the points on the undie here. Taking the undies. I don't know. That offense for Pittsburgh's bad too. No, I mean that's just you got Kyler Murray like trying to get in the swing of things. This could be the game. This could be one of those games here where you really see Kyler, stand tall in a pocket. You know what I mean? I don't know. It could possibly, and look good. But this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is coming to play, and they're playing at home. I'm not betting against that, people. I'm not betting against that. They're 4-2 at home. The Arizona Cardinals might be some fighters and be a scrappy group, but I don't know that they're going to walk into Pittsburgh and try and try and beat them up there in Pittsburgh, PA. So I'm going to go with the Steel Curtain and the Steelers. How about you, Britt?
Yeah, this is tough. I want to see the life of the Cardinals kind of come back. They're doing everything they kind of can to revitalize and get something going because, luckily Kyler Murray came back because they lost Josh Dobbs, and then it was like, what's going to happen? And then Kyler Murray showed life, and the defense was like, okay, hey, the offense is working. Let's try now. But that Pittsburgh Steelers defense versus subpar teams just makes them even look more subpar. So I like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think both of their DNs get at least 2 sacks, or their linebackers, their edge rushers, whatever you want to call them. Hightower and Watt, I think they both get 2 sacks apiece this game, and it's going to be too much trouble for Murray. So I'm going Pittsburgh Steelers.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, you're not lying with Highsmith and Watt coming off the edge.
Highsmith, sorry.
It's a scary proposition to be Kyler Murray. So he's definitely going to be running for his life, but they got some fast weapons out there. They can make some plays for him. So I do think the Cards can keep it competitive.
Yeah, I think they can keep it competitive. I just think it's just a little too much, but we'll see. Fun football, definitely, I think.
For sure. It's going to be a hell of a game, for sure.
All right, next game. I think this one might be our first unanimous choice. You got the Miami Dolphins, 8-3, going to the Washington Commanders, who are 4-8. Miami is a 9.5-point favorite here, biggest spread of the week. You think that's how it plays out? Think it's just too much, or can Commanders piece things together and keep up with competitive teams like they have against the Eagles? I know I touched on that before the Dallas Cowboys game. Don't shoot me, and then they got blown out. It is what it is. But the Commanders have shown they can be competitive. They've also have shown that they cannot be competitive at all. So, what do you think this one plays out to be?
We're allowed to be wrong. We're allowed to be. Miami beats the lesser teams, and they do it pretty dramatically so far this season. So I got to go Miami. I don't love the 9.5, but somehow I feel like they're going to end up covering this thing. Definitely, the main reason being because of Tyreek Hill. Not only is he chasing the 2,000 yards receiving mark, but he's kind of in the discussion for MVP, like outright MVP, not just offensive MVP. I think he's going to be force fed. I think the running game for Miami can finally kind of get back on track this week, and they can be more balanced. And that defense, since Ramsey's come back here over the last 3 weeks,
lights out.
They're only allowed 16 points per game. And they did lose Jalen Phillips last year with the Achilles, which is going to be a big loss for them. But they still have a lot of horses on that defense, and especially in the secondary and the corners. So it's going to be a rough day, I feel like, for Washington. I kind of like the over in this one. I think Miami probably gets into the 30s. Washington, no slouches. They put up points, but they also give up a lot. And I think they're going to have a tough time slowing down Miami. But lots of these games that are outdoors this week, I did notice weather could be a factor in a number of them. So do your homework before you start putting in any kind of leans that you got on games, because you talk about a muddy type of environment with a speedy Miami offense. That can change. That can tilt things in other favors. So just keep that in consideration. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Miami Dolphins here, taking them with the points, giving it up, taking the over here. You know, the Dolphins are 4-1 this year against the spread, so I'm going to take the points here. I'm going to take it with the over. In the last 2 weeks, they got 3 picks, 2 last week and 1 the week before against the Vegas Raiders. I just don't see Washington being able to topple the blowholes and the Finns this game. I just think that they're too high-powered. There's too much going on. The Commanders will show up, but they will not be in command. They'll score some points here because I know they can. It's going to be a Dolphin-type day. It doesn't matter where this game's played, in Miami or Maryland over there. It's going to be a Finn kind of day. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, Dolphins all the way, splashing in the end zone as much as they want. There's too much, too talent, and too quick for this Washington Commanders team. They can play fight football for a quarter, 2 quarters, a half. But at the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to just keep scoring and be a little bit too much. So I like the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
Pretty simple, straightforward answer.
Yes, it's a big game for Miami too. We've talked about it with a couple of teams, at this point in the season. You don't want to let games that you definitely should win slip through your fingers. So definitely, Miami's got to be grounded in this week, even though they've got some big matchups coming up in the next couple of weeks, and take care of business against Washington.
Yeah, they need to win the games that they should be winning, if they even want a possibility of getting the number 1 seed and home field advantage. So we'll see here going forward.
No doubt.
Next game though, super interesting, fun fight. I think it's gonna be a hard-nosed football game. Lots of points too. You got the Denver Broncos 6-5 in the Houston Texans 6-5. Houston's a 3.5 point favorite here at home. Interesting. How do you guys think this one plays out? Do you think the old school vet takes the helm, or the young buck continues his reign, or takes over the reign?
Well, I was digging through this one, and I've been paying close attention to the Broncos here for the last couple of weeks. They remind me of last year's New York Giants. They're playing buttoned up football, not beating themselves, and taking the mistakes that other teams are giving, not putting their quarterback at risk, running the football good. They're making plays in the passing game when they need to. Russ has been very efficient and making some splashy plays, when it matters. But they're playing very safe, well-coached football. They're buying in because they're getting dubs, I think. So the teams kind of bought into this type of scheme. But on the other side, man, CJ Stroud, I was well explained that how much I liked him coming into the draft this past season, but definitely has soared past the expectations that I could have seen. He's playing like a 3rd year, quarterback as opposed to a rookie quarterback. And at the end of the day, man, he is putting that team on his back week after week, especially the last 3 weeks. Even though they came up short last week with the field goal hitting the crossbar, it was a tough loss, but he's putting his team in position to win the game every single game. And even in games where he struggled a little bit, he had a game 2 games ago where he had 3 interceptions in the game, still led his team to victory. Like, the kid is resilient, and the leadership and the confidence that he's instilling in a young ragtag cast of wide receivers and tight ends and new additions all over the place on Houston. And the leadership that D'Amico Ryans is ultimately providing for this team too. I gotta Denver's red hot right now, at least win wise. I'm gonna go with the Texans here. I don't mind dropping the 3.5. So how about you, Ed?
I'm gonna go ahead here. I'm gonna go with the coaching staff and the defense. And I'm gonna take the Denver Broncos here, giving up 3.5. I'm gonna take the under here. Russell Wilson has 8 touchdowns, 71.6 completion percentage, and a QB rating of 109.5. I think with the coupled with how strong this defense has been playing, I think that'll be enough to go into Houston and basically take one. I think that Denver's clicking at the right time to come along to collide with this team, and I think that he hangs on to the reins for one more season. Brady, to answer your question, sir, Broncos giving up over. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I'm actually going to ride here with Eddie, and we'll be the guys taking the underdogs here and go with the Denver Broncos. I just think the way that like you touched on the way they're playing football right now, um, it's a team effort where I think with like the Texans, it's if CJ Stroud has a bad game, then the team has a bad game, and if the CJ Stroud has a good game, then the team might win that game. So with that, I like the Denver Broncos. I think where the Denver Broncos' strength is the passing defense. They're the last ranked rushing defense, but the Texans aren't running the ball very well this season at all. They're near bottom of the barrel for rushing offense. So the strength versus strength matchup, I think, falls into the lap of the Denver Broncos here winning this matchup, and that's where I'm going to ride with.
No doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Eddie. I like the under on this one too. I think this is going to be a tough for both offenses to, Denver, they just don't go after it point wise like that. And Brady talking about the pass defense for Denver. I think it's going to be a tough game for CJ Stroud. But man, at the end of the day, like I've watched Russ in his 2 minute drill, which they've executed here the last couple of games, why they've been riding this winning streak. But I've also seen CJ, in the 2 minute drill too. And this game plays out to be a one possession type of game. I'd rather put my chips on CJ at this point in time than have to rely on Russ.
Fair. This Broncos of late, not the beginning of the season, their hype train going on right now that they have going reminds me a lot of Drew Brees' last season when that man couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards, and you just didn't need him to just not mess up, and eventually your defense would get the other team to mess up, and all you had to do was capitalize, and that's basically the way they're playing right now. And the head coach, following that same philosophy, he brought it over from the New Orleans Saints, and I think that's the way they're going to win this game.
Yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner. He knows what he's doing. And it takes a while to get everybody to buy in because it's not super flashy. Like this season, not about the numbers. Anybody wearing a Denver Bronco uniform, minus touchdown catches, maybe for Cortland Sutton, who's having a quiet, nice year as far as that stuff goes. But at the end of the day, you feel good walking off the field knowing your team won. You know, maybe you didn't catch 8 balls for $120, but your team come out with a win.
True.
That feels good.
All right. Anything else to add for this one?
Mm-mm.
All right. Next game on the division we love to crap on. You got the NFC South matchup. The Carolina Panthers 1-10 going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. We are into our 4 o'clock games here finally. Tampa Bay is a 5-point favorite here at home. Over under at 36.5. How do you think this one plays out? You think Bucks can handle it and play, just smart, straightforward football, or are they going to make mistakes and overthink this as an easy victory for them and look past it and fall apart?
Carolina over the last couple of seasons has played the Bucks good. Even when PJ Walker was starting for them last year, they gave them all they could handle. I think they beat them towards the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Well,
I'd have to check.
but yeah, like you said, this is a game for the Bucks that they should win. Talking about another coach possibly on the hot seat, Todd Bowles. You lose this game, division mate Frank Wright's already out the door. That was really not the Bucks style because classy organization. We were talking about that last night, late night. I don't see them necessarily letting Todd Bowles go during the season, but you lose this game, pretty much wrote your ticket out of town by the season. Bucks should win this game. Kind of like Carolina to find a way to cover this though, because the Bucks have just not played safe, good football completely for a full game since the beginning of the season. They've been on the struggle bus here for about 6 or 7 weeks. But the Bucks are the way more talented roster. and I like them to win the game, but I don't like dropping the 5.5. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, the last time Carolina played the Bucks, it was January 1st, 2023. The Bucks won that 30-24. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. I'll even take the points here. And I'm going to take the under as well.
Taking
Take the
under.
points. No, the over. I'll take the over.
The over. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this one, it's obviously got to be fearful of it because the Bucks can make this one a bad game for themselves. You have a new coaching system going on, and maybe that's just what the Carolina Panthers need to have some sort of life, sparked into them. But I think after watching enough Buccaneer football under Todd Bowles, and especially this year, I think I finally found the Buccaneers' weakness and why they keep losing to certain teams, and why I don't think they'll lose versus the Carolina Panthers is defensively wise. They're one of the most blitz heavy defenses in the league, and basically all you need to do, since they're blitzing, almost could guarantee they're going to be blitzing one of those linebackers off the off the side, or an extra linebacker off the side, is you need a fast, wiry guy that can find the open space in the zone across the middle doing a crossing route, or one going each direction. And that's where Amon-Ra St. Brown ate us up and ran and took a crossing route for 40 yards for a touchdown. You had Michael Pittman last week, did it a couple times. You're just like, why is this man open crossing the field again? I think that's the issue right now for the Bucks, and there's not really a wide receiver right now for the Carolina Panthers that makes me go, oh no, they're going to do that to me. If it was Adam Thielen of a couple years ago, I'd be a little bit worried, but he's aged and slowed down, and he might find the hole and get them some key third and longs, but he's not going to be running it to the house for 40, 50 yards. So eventually the Bucks will hold them down to field goals, and I think the Bucks will be able to score touchdowns, and that's going to be the difference maker. So I'm going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scoring touchdowns, and I'll take them with the points. They'll probably win by 6 points to 7, and I'll probably take the over as well.
Yeah, Baker's played solid football this year, and the offense has looked pretty good at times. It's hard pressed to say Carolina comes in there and gets a dub, but again, it's been a while since the Bucks have tasted victory. At the end of the day,
yeah, their last solid victory was the Tennessee Titans at home, and I think that's kind of a similar team. Or you could have a chance for a decent run game, you have a chance, but there's no real threat at wide receiver that's going to eat you up. And I think that's kind of how this one might play out, where the Bucks can win this one 25-10 or something along those lines.
Yeah, the talent gap is significant, I feel like.
Carolina leads the series 25-20 all time.
Yeah, the Bucks were bad for quite a bit. Thanks for reminding me. But let's go to the next game. You got the Cleveland Browns 7-4 going into the Los Angeles Rams 5-6. The Rams are a 3.5-point favorite here. The new quarterback got beat up last week for the Cleveland Browns. He faces another tough defensive line here, and big man. Does he get beat up again, or does he shine through and steal his victory from the Los Angeles Rams? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Dorian Robinson was knocked out of last week's game. From what I heard today, probably not going to start this one. So it's PJ Walker again, or they're actually talking about starting Joe Flacco. For some reason, this gives me confidence that Cleveland is going to have some kind of element of surprise. I like the Browns to win this one. I love their defense. And it's going to be a little tough for the Rams to, no matter who's quarterbacking the team, to get to the quarterback. They still got Aaron Donald, but the defense does nothing to instill like solid confidence. So I feel like the Browns just got to get to about 20 points and they can take this victory. I think they do so. It's a hard trust there with the Rams. I like a lot of their pieces. I like a lot of the things that they do, but I think this particular matchup favors the Browns more so with the way they can get after the passer in a non-mobile, Matthew Stafford. I think they can hurt that run game that they just got back with Williams coming back, and I think they can really mess up the timing. They have the physicality to give Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua some problems trying to run their crossing routes over the middle and stuff like that. So I like Cleveland on the upset here, though they're going to be short manned and they could be without Amari Cooper, as Eddie touched on before the show. He started. He's got rib injuries. He's questionable. I personally think he suits up and plays through that, but that is worth watching if you're placing any wagers on this one. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams here. Take the Rams, giving up the points on the under. Just something about, Cleveland, and there's historically just can't get it together when it comes to the quarterback position. They have many a problem, and I think that going into the Rams, I think that this offense has shown that it can be electric at times, and it can really score at will when need be. With Puka Nakua and everything coming out of nowhere, just balling out, man, rocking out with a sock out, And yes, the Cleveland Browns defense is absolutely incredible. It's number one in the league. I mean, there's no arguing that. I mean, they haven't had a quarterback for some time now, and the defense still number one in the league. It's hard to argue, but when the offense isn't scoring points, that hurts as well. So, I'm taking the Rams here because I just think that the quarterback play, and I think that the coaching staff's going to be able to get this together at home.
Good coaching matchup. Very
For
good
sure.
coaching.
Yeah, very good coaching matchup as well. Yeah, this one's tough because I could see both of your guys' arguments, and you got to respect what Cleveland's defense can bring to the table, and then you have to worry about what Cleveland's offense can bring to the table. And it's basically you just pick which one you think is gonna fall apart. Is it gonna be the offense that isn't proven yet, or is it gonna be the defense just being worn down because they're gonna be out there? They could be out there way too much. With that being said, I think I do like the Los Angeles Rams just barely. I'm not in love with it. I think this game is gonna be like a 13-10 matchup. Just I think Cleveland's gonna have trouble scoring the ball, but I also think they're gonna give the Rams a hell of a show, and hell of a problem. So give me the Rams. I think they're gonna score maybe like a quick one big touchdown to Puka Nakua, and then everything else is gonna be 70-yard drives for a field goal, and that'll be about it. So give me the Rams on like a 13-10 victory here. I'm going to take the under on the 39.5.
I like it.
Against the division, I think Cleveland's 1-1 on the season. They should have been 2-0. They should have won that Seattle game in Seattle. But they beat the 49ers earlier in the season, and they were quarterbackless pretty much there with PJ Walker at the helm. And then they could have beat the Seattle Seahawks if it wasn't for the last second touchdown there to, I think, Jackson and Jigba to steal the victory there in Seattle. It should be a very fun matchup too. Strength versus strength.
Yeah. Alrighty, next game, final 4:00 game here. Pros most likely game of the week. San Francisco 49ers 8-3. Philadelphia Eagles at home 10-1. Despite being at home, San Francisco 49 is the 3-point favorite here. Big matchup. Both these teams want to prove it. San Francisco obviously has the big win over Dallas, and Philly had a hard-fought match versus Dallas. Over under here, big 47.5. Most probably pretty accurate, barring what both these teams are capable of. How do you think this one plays out? You think 49ers are too well-rounded, or Philadelphia can play pretty straightforward ball and make it a rough and tough nitty-gritty for them to take the victory?
When I first saw this matchup on the slate, I immediately thought San Francisco probably going to get the win. Did a little digging on some numbers and stuff just because of the way I feel about Philly. Now, I talked off camera with you guys saying, the way they're doing this here lately, I got to give them a little credence that the team has been clutch when it's mattered. These close victories that they're coming out with, record at the end of the day speaks volumes. You're getting the win at the end of the day. But digging in a little deeper, Philly's only averaging 9.3 points per game in the first half over the last 3 games. That's not really the recipe for a San Francisco team. It's first in the league in first half scoring and second in the league in touchdowns allowed in the second half. So I like San Francisco to get off pretty quick, and they're the type of team, a well coached team that's not going to let Philly kind of come back. And we remember last year we talked, I feel like week after week, it's like, yeah, Philly's really good, but they really haven't had to come from behind. Now they proved they could do it last week against Buffalo, but I think San Francisco is a different animal. The way CMAC is putting up numbers this year, Purdy's been very efficient. Philly defense is not what it was last year. I think Purdy can be efficient, and they're just so well balanced right now. San Francisco, they're playing really good ball. So I like the Niners. I really wouldn't want to drop the points because I think Philly at home, they're going to be very game, but I do think the 49ers get out of there with the dub. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, we're going to take the emotion on this one. We're going to take the underdog, so-called. I think this is going to be a tremendous game. The San Francisco 49ers lead the series 20-15 and 1, a tie. The tie was in 1994.
Ages ago.
1994 was the tie. So I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles here, plus the points on the over, just in case she turns into a shootout. But honestly, I got to say, guys,
I like the over too on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they beat the Eagles in 2021 in Philly. They didn't beat Philly last year at home. And the Eagles is a tough place to play, man. It really is a tough place to play. And I think if anybody could beat the Eagles right here, right now, and beat them bad, it could be the 49ers. I would have liked this game to be played at home for the 49ers, not for the Eagles. But I'm taking the Eagles. How about you, Brady?
Very reserved selection.
I'm gonna go San Francisco 49ers. This is the NFC Championship match that we never got because they wanted to break Brock Purdy's elbow there 7 plays into the game or whatever it was. And then they just had no offense after that because he was already their third quarterback of the season. And they still made it to the NFC Championship game. So now they have Brock Purdy. They have a backup plan. They have a backup to the backup plan. So they still have something to throw the ball at the end of the day. And then you still have all those weapons on offense. And that's just the offensive side of the ball. Then you got to go up against this tough defense, who I think is matching up very well versus the Philadelphia Eagles team. You got the pass rushers to make sure that Hurts is not comfortable. You have the big men up in the front, in the middle, and the fast linebackers to make sure that Swift and anybody else that wants to attempt to run the ball is going to have a tough time. So I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the San Francisco 49ers here. I think they match up well versus the Philadelphia Eagles here. I do think this does go on the over, though. High scoring game, over under at 47.5. So give me San Francisco 49ers with that, though.
Yeah, good job highlighting the defensive line there. Since Chase Young's come, it's kind of almost revitalized that pass rush after the bye week for San Francisco. And yeah, they're big bodies, and they're well coached, and they're smart players, and they're healthy. San Francisco's healthy across the board. You start off the conversation like that. So it's going to be a big time challenge. But Eddie, I can't, just the feeling of how this season's gone for Philly, you can't write them off. You can't write them off because they've made it happen when they've needed to make it happen. Whether it's a tush push for on a 4th and 1 to run out the game, or it's a 19 play, 30-minute drive off the clay, to eat up an entire quarter and just take the complete wind out of the opponent's sails. They've been able to do it this year and, come out victorious.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously means a lot too, because 49ers need to win this, and then they need the Eagles to lose another game to have a hope for first seed and home field
Mhm.
advantage. And we've touched on that a lot this episode, how important that is. And both these teams are, undefeated or almost undefeated. I think 49ers did lose one at home in their little losing streak there, but it does still matter. They're making the other team uncomfortable coming into your house to play. And that's what this is. This is going to be uncomfortable for the San Francisco 49ers to play, and it means a lot to the Eagles. They want to keep that, and I think they would pretty much have the first round lock on lock if they win this game. So a lot of implications here.
It's a statement game. I think it's a statement game for San Francisco to legitify themselves. And, if the Eagles get beat and they end up getting beat soundly by San Francisco, I think it's going to give a lot of credence to what a lot of people are kind of whispering in the shadows about, this Eagles team doesn't really feel like this the record indicates anyways. And I think it really could hurt Philly moving forward if they soundly beat by San Francisco. Similar to what it did to Dallas. Dallas
Mm-hmm.
took that loss to San Francisco, and it was just air out of the sails, and Dallas had to re-rally, but it took the games to really get their feet back under them after that loss.
Alrighty, anything else to add here? Any last little minute, last second additions? Swing the vote.
Nah,
Nope.
it's gonna be a banger. I definitely like San Francisco though.
Yes. All right,
Get
next
the popcorn
game.
ready for that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Pizza, wings, and beer ready to go. Next
Listen.
game though. Sunday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs 8-3 going to the Green Bay Packers, who are 5-6. Kansas City big 6-point favorite here in Green Bay. How do you guys think this one plays out? Kansas City, proving their strength, or are they, showing their weaknesses? And Green Bay, has the ability to strike you down. What do you think?
I've been on board with what the Packers been doing the past couple of weeks. I thought they had a legit shot against Detroit last week, and they ended up, beating them. I was a little surprised they outright won the game, but I thought that was an upset alert game. The Packers have the team to give KC a run for their money in
For
this one.
sure.
I don't like the 6 point in that. Packers are 2-1 as home underdogs. It's going to be a night game. That's another tough place to go take a dub from. I think at the end of the day, though, Mahomes is the better quarterback in the situation, and KC does pull out the W. What time of year this is? These games like this are, situations where they're uh, used to winning, and I think they will win this one. But I think it's closer than they would like. I like it 27-24. I'll take the over. I think the Packers are really, really game in this one. So I like the Packers with points, but I think Casey gets the dub. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, for sure. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs here, folks. You got the last meeting was 17-10, August 25th, 2022. But I'm going to take the Chiefs here. I'm going to take the Chiefs giving up the points with the over here. But I do think Green Bay is going to come and they're gonna be contenders here in this game. I just don't think that they're gonna be able to knock off the champs.
That's fair. Green Bay Packers showed last week that, I get, divisional game versus the Detroit Lions here, but high-powered offense, they have the ability to slow you down and make the game hard fought. The issue is, I think this Chiefs defense is playing way too well right now for kind of a subpar offense of the Green Bay Packers here. They've shown some life of recent, but are a much tougher defense than the Detroit Lions that they faced last week. So I like Kansas City Chiefs here as well.
Yeah, it's hard to trust the Packers' consistency. You see what they're capable of. Jordan Love played lights out last week. Absolutely lights out against a very much improved Detroit Lions team, and it was on the road. That was a hell of a performance by him. But can you start stringing these games together if you're Jordan Love? But to the credit, I think Jordan Love is the guy. We had questions coming into the season. I think he's the guy moving forward for the Packers. I don't think they need to do much looking. Obviously maybe add some competition to the room, but I think legitly he deserves to be the starter come next year. He made a lot of off-platform throws that were impressive to me last week. Still not crazy about his arm strength, but his He showed really good ball placement, and they've got some young receiver weapons. We highlighted on him last week as well. The Reed kid, we finally saw Watson make an appearance and make some plays, splashy, and so there's definitely some good things for the Packers moving forward.
Fair enough. All righty. Anything else to add before we finish wrap up Sunday football?
No, sir.
All righty. Final game of the week, Monday Night Football. Cincinnati Bengals, new quarterback there. Going into Jacksonville Jaguars. Cincinnati Bengals are 5-6. Jaguars are 8-3. Jacksonville's a big 8-point favorite here at home. You think that's how this one plays out, or the new young quarterback can show some life and keep the game close, or possibly steal it? What do you guys think?
Steal.
This is one that this is the game that Jacksonville, similar I guess to the Dolphins game, similar to probably the Cowboys game too, where it's like handle business. You should win this game. You are the better team, especially at this point, minus Burrow opposing you. I think Cincinnati's going to give them a good fight. I'm going to steal, a little line from Eddie, which is the whole 3 quarters. They make this a pretty good game just because the defense is a scrappy bunch. They get after the passer. They tackle well. They do cause turnovers. Jacksonville hasn't exactly been a well-oiled machine on the offensive side, even though I very much like the weapons that they bring to the table and everybody's healthy. But I think ultimately Jacksonville pulls away here. I kind of like them to cover the spread. I think 8 is doable for them. If it was much more, if it was in the 9.5 range, maybe I'd, waver a little bit. But I don't mind laying 8 with Jacksonville on Monday night. I think they should win by 10. I kind of like the under on this one. I don't think Cincinnati is going to be able to muster much consistent offense. Jaguars defense has been pretty good so far this season, especially against the run. And I think that's where anything that would be let up and on the side of the Bengals, it would have to come off play action, what makes them being effective and stuff like that. So I like Jacksonville. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise. This is Jacksonville's second season. They're right on pace with playing as good as they were a season ago, if not arguably a little bit better, and they're propelled to definitely go on ahead and make a playoff berth because they're up by 2 games here. I think this is an easy win for Jacksonville as long as they don't let their feet slip from underneath them, and they play sound football here. I think this is an easy win, no problem for Jacksonville. I'm going to take Jacksonville with the points and the over here. I think they can put up a lot. I think this offense can put up a lot. And like Charlie said, I envision at least a strong 2, if not 3 quarters. And then after that, the offense is just going to be too much for the defense. There won't be enough rotation to go around. So how about you, Braid? Jacksonville it is.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Jacksonville, they're a well-rounded team, and they have their quarterback.
Easy money.
That's kind of what it boils down to. So
easy money here.
You guys touched on pretty much everything with that. That being said, despite what Bengals are capable of being scrappy and showing life, but at the end of the day, Jacksonville still has their quarterback to throw to their big-name receivers.
Making a parlay, throw this one in there. This is easy money.
All righty, gentlemen.
Feels like it. Never that easy.
It's easy. Yeah. This one's easy.
The NFL.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to Sunday football, though. Monday I'll watch, but Sunday football I think is going to be full of excellent games. So that's Week 13 football. Thanks for listening.
Let's go. Thank you.
Doses.
Peace.